Okay, so about what age were you when the civil rights movement was occurring?
Civil rights movement was occurring, even though it was going on before my birth.
Okay.
So I was born into the civil rights movements occurring.
Where were you living?
I was living in a small town south of Texas by the name of Ballinger.
How do you spell that?
Ballinger.
Was everything tense? Like,
Tense.
yeah.
Yes, everything was tense because there was a lot of racism going on at the time. There was no such thing as the blacks and the whites living together or schooling together. We went to an all-black school, and the whites went to an all-white school.
Did anyone white teach you, or was it only blacks who taught?
When I was going to the all-black school, they were all black teachers because we were still segregated at the time. And then one day when I was about, I'd say I might have just turned about 7, 8 years old. Then they came out and they said, there is no more segregation.
So that was when they, like, announced that it was over?
That's when the law was passed, there will be no more segregation, that blacks and whites would go to school together. And then we had to walk, because at that time not many blacks had cars. And the schools they sent us to were the white schools, because the black schools were very poor. So they sent all the blacks up to the white schools. And that was like about 3 to 4 miles away, for which all black children had to walk that far just to go to school.
Did they have buses for the privileged white kids?
Oh yeah, they had buses in their neighborhoods.
What about
they would get on the bus and go right to school.
What about the black kids who, like, had money and everything? Did they, like...
In this particular small town, there wasn't blacks with money. In fact, when this took place, we had just changed over from being segregated to non-segregated. And so while we were segregated, there were no blacks with money. All blacks either washed clothes for their white counterparts, or they cut yards, or they cleaned up as janitors, but they did not have good paying jobs. So there was no well-to-do blacks in this town. So we all got together, since we all had to go to the same place, and we'd walk to school. That wasn't so bad as long as it was the summer and the weather was nice. But when there's snow on the ground, you've got to walk 4 miles to school. So we get out, we start walking. We're cold, we're frozen by the time we get to school. So quite naturally, first thing you want to do is you want to go stand by the heater. So we're standing by the heater and the teacher's going on with the class. So we're falling behind. So it's like our white counterparts, they rode to school in cars. They had breakfast that morning. They were ready to attend and learn as soon as they got there. We had to walk 4 miles. And we were more concerned with unthawing and getting some fillings back in our fingers so we can sit down. And so kind of like lagged behind. And so it was pretty bad.
Did you get harsher punishments for like not participating in class as opposed to the other kids, the white kids?
Yeah, we were treated. Actually, we were treated as if we were not intelligent enough to compete in the classes that we were in. Assignments are given, and our white counterparts, they were able to pick up on it. They've done this all their lives. Here we are in a new situation, and the teachers really did not want to put in the time and effort to really help us understand what was going on. They were more interested in, okay, you're in the class, this is the way I run my class, let's move on. I don't have all day. But for a change like that, you've got to take time out to help the other people understand what's going on, and that wasn't done. And then when things weren't done, you'd see most all blacks were in the office every day. Because the first thing was when we went to this school and we got there, the whites weren't used to having us in their school. We weren't used to being in their school. So the N-word, I don't think you want to put it on there, the N-word was used regularly. That's all that they would know our name. But the N-word is what they would call us. Fights broke out. Kids were expelled, mostly the black kids, sent to the office. And while you're sitting in the office, you're missing out in class. And not only that, during my time, corporal punishment was allowed. So you got paddled. So most of the black kids were in the office getting paddled instead of being in class, getting an education.
Did you ever participate in any of the marches back then?
No, I didn't participate in any of the marches. We had little things where we would not go to class in order to get our point across about something that was going on. We just skipped school, and all of a sudden, they're wondering, well, where's all my black kids at? Well, we decided we wasn't going because something was unjust, and there was no one there that was actually speaking up for us. We were on our own.
What were your parents doing then? Like, where were they working?
Well, my parents, my father, my mother had passed away when I was 6 years old. My dad, I really didn't know where he was. So my grandmother raised me, which was a lot of something like that was going on during the time, simply because you have to understand where I came up was slavery had only been abolished maybe about 5 years before I was born. So my parents pretty much were slaves. Well, my grandmother, my parents, slaves. I mean, they